Hey there and welcome. Thank you for tuning into this live broadcast. You got Josh Cary here, founder of Pet Sittingology and the Josh Cary Collective. The theme of our recent pet care conference in Las Vegas was connection. And you'd be surprised today how interconnected and how closely connected you are to all the tools, resources, and people that you would ever hope to be connected to. Personally speaking, I can go back many, many steps and outline how all of us became connected for our Vegas event. I will start with pointing out Dr. Andy Rourke. We had the great fortune of him speaking at 2 of our consecutive conferences. And earlier this year, I reached out, I spoke to him, and I let him know that I was looking for a recommendation for someone to come to our event and teach and lead a workshop on dog training and understanding dog behavior, and to see if he happened to know anybody. The first words out of his mouth were Marty Becker. We were lucky enough to have Marty come to Vegas, teach this wonderful workshop, and the rest is history that brings us here today. Marty, no secret, spoiler alert, is connected to our very special guest today. It's her father. And the point I'm trying to make is that I want to encourage you to think big. I want to encourage you to look and grab opportunity because, again, you right now today are uber connected to anybody you can possibly imagine. With the power of the internet, you can really reach out, use your connections to land whatever support you need. People are more than ready, willing, and able to support your mission. And you are on an extraordinary path and doing a substantial mission. You have a professional pet care business. You are doing good, honest, genuine work. People will and want to support that. So keep going, look for those connections, and know that you can grab them anytime you need. Case in point brings me to our special guest today. Here we are with somebody who has the title America's Veterinarian, and I am about to pick his brain for all of our benefits. So without further ado, please help me welcome to our show. It's the Dr. Marty Becker. Hello there. Hello? Yeah, I know.
Oh, I hit my mute button.
There you are. It's
Cutie.
Dr. Marty Becker.
Sorry about that, guys. I was just saying, I think you could rip that Pet Sittingology sign down. This looks like it's for men's hair products, dressing right. It's probably GQ. Just rip that off and flip it around. It probably says GQ.
Oh, my goodness. Did Dr. Becker just give me a compliment?
I was looking at myself. The comb over failed. I'm going to blame that white hair. It's the heavy lights. I should have known better for after all these years. But, you know, I want to piggyback on something you said.
Please.
Yesterday, my wife is taking somebody to New York City. They're winging their way there right now. She had never flown on an airplane that had jet engines. So she's 65 years old. She last flew when there were turboprops. So go back and figure out how long that was. Four turboprops. So she's talking about how excited he was for jet travel. I'm going to experience jet. I haven't even heard jet travel in my lifetime, except in a book. And she's going to see all the sights of New York City, Radio City Music Hall, and the 9/11 Memorial Museum. But they're also going to see the Dr. Oz show. So I texted Dr. Oz yesterday, explained this girl. She's going to get a VIP treatment that she will not believe. But when you go back to Dr. Oz, he wrote a book called You, the Owner's Manual that was so well done. It was edutainment. It was infotainment, and had these characteristic graphic, cartoonish descriptions of a bowel movement, for example. And I thought, so here he is, a cardiac surgeon at Columbia. I knew Dr. Oz from Good Morning America because I was on there about 10 years before he started. But I went up and saw him. I said, I'd like to come up and see you up at Columbia. So I went up to his office and pitched a pet book with him.
Hmm.
And he goes, he talked to his people. He was interested, but because it's almost like chicken soup. I thought it could be You Dog, the Owner's Manual with Dr. Mehmet Oz. But his people said, no, we better stick with the human side, which was wise. So they stayed focused. But that's how I got to talking to him. And that ended up years later with him letting us use the title, Your Dog, the Owner's Manual, Your Cat, the Owner's Manual. It ended up being on, I'm on his TV show. So when you talk about connectivity, it's taking a risk and saying, can I come up and talk to you, And
Yes.
so that's it, that you never know. I had a technician contact me today. Her name is April. She's from Asheville, North Carolina. She met me 2 weeks ago. She said, I want to do more than just working in a veterinary hospital. I want to teach fear-free. And I said, well, the first thing to do is you got to get certified and then reach back to me. So she reaches back to me 2 weeks later. She's done. She had specific points. I knew she'd looked at it because she told me specific things in the modules. And now she says, what do I need to do now to go further, to have other opportunities? And I said, well, you need to have experiences before and after, photos with the descriptions right, videos better. If you can show a scaredy cat that became a purr machine, or a dog that was biting and barking, and now all let's do is yapping for treats, and then start to teach locally, teach at Rotary, teach at for different shelter staff, and continue your education, and then you'll go to the big veterinary conferences and stuff. And she's on her way. You can just tell, Josh. You see the type.
Oh,
she
yeah.
took the initiative. She's on her way.
I think that I want to forget about America's veterinarian. I want to call you America's best friend, because look at that. Look what you just offered. Like you said, you piggyback, and it is about connectivity. It is about taking risks, stepping out of your comfort zone. And that's only where and when amazing things happen. Talking about amazing things happen, I want to review just part of your credentials, because everybody who knows anything remotely about you knows that you have a long list of things. And just to point some of them out, we know you've written 22 books, which is a magnitude in and of itself. 3 of them, New York Times bestsellers, over 7 million copies sold. One of them has been the fastest selling pet book of all time, Chicken Soup for the Pet Lover's Soul. And you, like you said, Dr. Oz, contributing veterinarian, Good Morning America. You've been with Oprah. You're on the board of directors, I know, for the Humane Society. You've traveled to 81 countries. How does someone like you, how do you find the time to focus on what you want to focus on with your hands in so many projects? How do you prioritize all of that?
Hey, forget my earlier description of you, which we can't mention on air. You are the human amphetamine. You are the human amphetamine, a catalyst for a chemical reaction. No, I grew up on a small farm in southern Idaho, a small family farm, and wanted to be a veterinarian from 6 or 7, but I wanted to be a dairy practitioner of all things. And then had a graduating class of 20. I was editor of the school paper, among other things, because there's only 20 kids in your class. And a teacher said, boy, you ought to be a writer someday. You're really good. Nah, I ought to be a veterinarian. Then I went to college, and Daniel was his name. I don't know his last name, but he said, wow, you can write. You ought to be a writer. Nah, I ought to be a veterinarian. So who knew? I went to veterinary school to be a dairy practitioner, heard about the human animal bond the very first hour of the first day of practice. I was sitting in the back of the room. I was all slumped down in my chair, looking around. Well, I've made it, And I was very young, got in early. And the dean, Leo Bustad, who many people know is kind of America's James Herriot, he gave a talk on the human animal bond. And at the end, he asked for volunteers for the people pet partnership that matched elderly people with homeless pets. There you go. And then came, listen to this. This is an interesting story. I wrote a book called Becoming Your Dog's Best Friend. And it was a TFH, modest success. And then my wife heard about Chicken Soup for the Soul books. And so she bought me one for Christmas. And I'm flying after the first of the year. And I'm crying like a baby at these stories. And I thought, God, I didn't think the written word could do that anymore. I thought a movie, yeah, but a short story. And so I sent 2 copies of the book to Mark Victor Hansen. This is pre-internet days. I had to find out how to send it to him. And I said, listen, I want to give this book to my children when they're 18 years old. So I want you to write a inscription that is appropriate for them open this on their 18th birthday with my letterhead. So the book is out. It's a huge success. And by the way, 31 publishers turned Chicken Soup for the Soul down until the 32nd publisher. That's a true story. So this has got something, and then look how many they sold.
Oh, but, my goodness, what a great point. Wow.
Is that so? Then he's thinking, they're huddled up. Oh my God, we got a tiger by the tail. Oh my God, we're going to be rich. Oh my God, this is so successful. Chicken Soup for this, Chicken Soup for that. And these groups said you should do Pet Lover's Soul. So it was right off the start. Okay, we got to start working on Pet Lover's Soul. And he's asking around, who should we get to write this with us? We got to get a co-author. And I've always talked about the human-animal bond in all my lectures. And so he asked a few vets. Oh, Dr. Marty Becker. He's the guy about the bond, that soft side of medicine. He's not the medicine guy. He's that soft side you're talking about. So he's thinking, well, I wonder how I get a hold of him. So he's really thinking, how will I get a hold of him? And he looks on his desk, and there's my letterhead with the 2 books to sign for my kids. And he goes, like, it's a miracle. It's providence. So he picks up the phone, called me. We did a phone handshake. And that leads me to actually my 25th book comes out in March called From Fearful to Fear Free. And I've actually sold about 9 million books now. So
jeez, wow.
Just think how that started, And so that's anybody out there, branding. I complimented you on your branding right from the start. And that's part of what people build in their zip code is their brand or their community. That there's a guy in Bonners Ferry, Idaho, population 2,200. It's 17 miles south of me here. And he has this, he does sewage, like a septic service. And he has all these signs that say where a straight flush beats a full house. And you can't not think of him when you have a problem with your septic tank. Where I'm not even going to look in the yellow pages. And he has this clever website and stuff. And this is this little tiny town, So
yes, let me reiterate something. You said Chicken Soup for the Pet Lover Soul was declined by 31 publishers. Certainly by the first several or dozen, or even by the second dozen. What is it? You just got it and you said, you know what? I am not giving up. There is something here and someone will take it.
Well, I'm going to answer this with a story. Barbara Walters, 10 most interesting people of blank. I don't know if she's going to do it this year. I've seen Barbara off camera. She looks pretty fossilized, but she's amazing how she can. I mean, she looks like she couldn't make it out of bingo. And that camera comes on and she can turn it on like you can't believe. And I will tell you one thing too, the lighting is very gracious to her, if you know what I mean. You know how they can light something to look, she looks much different without lighting. But I love her. I love what she does. And she does the top 10 most interesting people of blank. So 2 years ago, my wife and I decided, one of the questions, they went back on the 25 years, and one question she's always asked, she'd say, Josh blank is, or Marty Becker is, or I remember it was Tony Bennett, it was Lady Gaga, it was Jay-Z, it was, oh God, I can't remember all the old, Bing Crosby. She'd ask all these people, and she doesn't say answered it in a word or a sentence or a story. She just says, Marty Becker is. And so we got done and we decided, well, let's do the same thing. Let's ask each other the same question. So let's think about how we would answer it ourselves and how we would answer for the other person. And so we took about 60 seconds. And I said, okay, Teresa, for you, I would say faithful. She has this deep faith in the Lord that permeates her. We've been married 38 years. I'm crazy about this woman. We're just so in love and I so admire her. And that's how she described herself. And then it came to me and she said, determined. And that's the same way I would describe myself. It was the same word I had for myself. I am doggedly determined. and there's that old saying, don't wait for your ship to come in, row out to meet it. I think that's even crap. What I do is row out over the damn horizon and look for ships to board. Don't even wait for them to come into sight. Go way out there and see what's out there. And like that's why I called you the human amphetamine, and you're in your enthusiastic mandate to these people is anything is possible now with the internet. I'm sitting here 17 miles north of a town of 2,200 people in the tip of Idaho, in a horse ranch halfway up a wild high mountain. And by the way, I'm not horribly obese. This is a very thick flannel shirt, so this probably adds like 70, 80 pounds to me. So
did I fib when I said America's best friend, ladies and gentlemen? I love that. We could certainly dissect all of that. Let me ask you this question as we try to inch slowly down our agenda here. But this is wonderful. Thank you. Help us, Dr. Becker, because I'm fascinated. I'm intrigued. What is a typical day like for you today? Walk us through a day in the life of Dr. Marty Becker, if you will.
This is incredible. Well, you're good. You're really good at this. Really good, and I mean that too. I've had thousands of interviews, and you bring a whole different spin to it. I'm pulling the dog hair off my keyboard, by the way.
Wow. And I will accept that compliment. Thank you. It means a lot.
So it's usually getting up at 6 to 7 o'clock. I need 8 hours of sleep. I'm not one of these people that say, oh yeah, 3-4 hours. I mean, 7 to 8 hours is really good for me. One thing that's kind of odd, I never saw Mikkel. You mentioned Mikkel at the start of the show. I never saw her first year of life. I was still farming. So I come from a farm background. I still had a farm and was practicing as a veterinarian and building clinics and lecturing. And so I decided, you know what? I'm not going to, I actually read a book that talked about what you could do to, make yourself better. And this was pre Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But it said, ask people that are out of near retirement, what do you know now that you wished you'd have known when you were my age? It would have caused you to live your life differently. So I thought, a great question. So I started asking these people. I wished I'd have spent more time with my family. I wished I'd have spent more time with my family. I thought, okay, I got it. So I went from never seeing Mikkel year 1, starting at year 2, I started taking 3 months a year off. And so for 31 years, I've taken not at one block, but up to 6 weeks off at a block. But I try to look at like my 2017, 2018, there's already 3 months blocked off. So nobody knows, well, you do now, that if you call and I say I'm unavailable, it doesn't mean I'm always working. But on the other hand, I got to add this to it. I decided, okay, I'm not going to work 9 months. I'm going to work 18 months, but just cram it into 9 months. So I work so hard. My typical days 12 to 13 hours. But the first part's all taking care of the animals. First thing I want to do is snuggle with the dogs, and then it's making coffee, and then getting medications lined up for them. We just adopted 2 new dogs, so we now have 6 dogs and cats and horses. But as soon as I can, I want to run up and get on the internet and see what's going on. I love, matter of fact, we talked a little bit off air here about my son Lex is 26 years old, and he's been in 60 countries. He speaks 3 languages. He's already lived a year in Japan. He's very fascinating, brilliant, funny kid, fun kid. But he doesn't like what he does. He's in business and went in a startup, made a bunch of money, doesn't like it. And he told me on a road trip last year that when he was maybe 8 years old, he remembers, we live in a 3-level log house, and he remembers me going up 2 stairs at a time, like running up the stairs up to where his bedroom is and my office is. And he goes, why do you take the stairs 2 at a time? And he said, my answer was, I just can't wait to get up here and see what's going on. Wow. And so that was 10. Now he's 26, and he goes, I want to find a job where I want to take the stairs 2 at a time. Oh. So that's it. That's it. I'm up here. I think deadlines are real. I think your word is golden. And one thing about you, Josh or Joshua. Do you prefer either, or do you prefer Josh?
It's Josh is perfect. Thank you.
You are doggedly persistent. Like you hung in there. A lot of people, it was so hard to book me on this that I would say not 99%, I would say 99.9% of the people would have given up and think I was trying to just blow you off. But I wasn't. I wasn't.
Yeah.
It's just my schedule is, remember, I'm going to cram 18 months worth of work in 9 months. I am so busy. But you stuck in there, and then what a delight! I've never seen you. I've never seen a picture of you, and then we meet and are probably lifelong friends.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Let me just extrapolate on that, expand a little bit, because for those listening, that is true. I started this intro with the Dr. Andy Rourke connection, and he put me in touch with Marty Becker, and lo and behold, I'm like, wait a minute, as if this isn't wonderful enough, your father is Dr. Marty Becker. Make a quick note, okay, and file that away. So I had emailed you, Dr. Becker, for something like this, like you pointed out, months and months and months ago. And it was, well, I can't, we that, try me next week, try me next month, let's wait. And just things. And like you said, I took that seriously when you didn't just say no, period. Right. I was like, okay, there is something there. And I was graciously excited. And I kept this was not easy to schedule. No. We probably have a few dozen emails going back and forth. And, it's just wonderful. And I thank you for acknowledging that. Let me ask you this, talking about branding, you obviously are known as America's veterinarian. How did that come about?
Well, I was lucky, blessed. My wife would say blessed. I'll say blessed. Dr. Mehmet Oz started calling me America's veterinarian. So when he was so good on air, and by the way, I want to say this, you do network TV in New York for 20 years, and you're doing shows like, I've been on all sorts of shows. And so you meet all sorts of people. And so I've met The Rock. The Rock kept calling me sir. And I'm thinking, God, how old am I? When he's calling me sir. I never forget how good looking he was in all these clothes. And I was talking to a stylist, and his leather coat was $10,000, and his jeans were $3,000, and his shoes he was dressed in like $15,000 worth of clothes. So Josh, you probably know what I'm talking about. But anyway, and I met, Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston and George Clooney and all these people. And some of them are just like you would hope, and some of them are the opposite, very disappointing. Dr. Oz is, as he seems, he is good to his family, good to his friends, good to the people that have never been on the show, his longtime staff. He's just a gem. But anyway, Oprah found him, and he became America's Doctor on the Oprah show. And then as soon as he started the show, I started with him as part of his executive team, executive council, his medical advisory board, and been friends. So he started, when they introduced me, welcome Dr. Marty Becker, America's veterinarian, and that's how it started.
Wow. And it stuck, thankfully. Hey, Josh Cary here. Thank you for watching the preview clip of our dialogue and conversation with Dr. Marty Becker. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. As you can see, Dr. Becker is genuine. He's smart, intelligent, funny, and a wealth of information. Obviously a true advocate for all of us in our industry. So here, I invite you to join the Josh Cary Collective today. Not only will you get full and immediate access to the remaining video dialogue we had with him, and it goes on for 30 plus minutes where we talk all about his fear-free initiative and all the ways you can take action to really step up your game as a professional pet sitter by embracing this fear-free initiative. You'll learn how to reduce the fear, what products he recommends you can use, and so much more. What is the purpose of this collective? Well, when you come inside today, it takes about 2 minutes to sign up, and its membership is offered now at the lowest fee it will ever be. I can assure you of that. So please hop on that. You'll not only get access to our ongoing, growing video library of all the other videos we have in this regard, all of our tools and resources, but you'll also get access to me and the growing community of professional, genuine, hardworking colleagues all doing the same work. The purpose of the Josh Cary Collective is simple. It revolves around the core four. It's designed to help you become a better version of you by focusing on the personal growth and development. It'll also help you grow your business so you can thrive in a better business. And finally, it'll help you lead this movement we're all on to up our game as an industry, right? To become more professional, up our reputation, and be part of this better industry. All for the goal of one thing: a better life. It's that simple. The great byproduct and benefit of a better you, a better business, and a better industry is for you to lead the life you want. There you have it. Continue to scroll through this page. Click the Join Now button, and I'm excited to welcome you inside the Josh Cary Collective. See you soon.